From America's heartland, it's Prodigy Bowlers Tour, celebrating junior bowling and elevating junior bowlers. Today, episode 161, the 2024 Kansas City Open February Point Tournament. 5 players have qualified for the TV finals, but just one can be named champion today in Division I. Here are the 5 finalists. The number 5 qualifier is Landon Stoddard of Higginsville, Missouri. He'll meet the 4th qualifier, Andrew Coleman of Excelsior Springs. The winner of that opening match will face the 3 seed, Caden White of Lee Summit. He's the defending champion. That winner will challenge the 2 seed, Nolan Nash, who always seems to be near the lead. And that winner will bowl for the championship against Donovan Courtney of Moberly, Missouri. He's our tournament leader. One of these 5 talented young athletes will earn the title of champion in Division I today, here at the KCO February Point Tournament, and will sign the coveted trophy pin on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Once upon a time, on the grounds where Crown Lanes can be found today in Leavenworth, Kansas, sat Kittyland Amusement Park. And out by the curb on Spruce Street, Rex the dinosaur stood to greet the park's customers. All these years later, the merry-go-round and other attractions from Kittyland are gone, but Rex still stands with open arms to greet the customers at Crown Lanes, where today the Kansas City Open's contestants have gathered for the 2024 KCO February Point Tournament. On our last episode of Prodigy, we brought you the thrilling championship round in Division II. Today, we're here to bring you the stepladder finals in Division I, the group of young bowlers sporting averages of 200 and higher. This is the one KCO division that bowls scratch. And once again, we've got a field that should provide plenty of thrills. Like all KCOs, qualifying starts early in the morning and consists of 6 games, as the A squad and the B squad each bowl 3 games in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. Here's how qualifying shook out in Division I. Some of the kids you're used to seeing at the KCO, specifically the Kansas kids, won't be found in the field this month. Kids like P.J. Dokalis and his brother Anthony, Rhett Ryman, and any other kid who bowls high school bowling in Kansas is restricted from bowling tournaments during the high school bowling season. But we'll see them back in action at the March KCO. Today, however, at the February KCO, you'll see mostly Missouri kids. To no one's surprise, Nolan Nash got off to a fast start with a 7:05 series in the morning block to take the early lead. Hot on his tail was Dylan Pollard, the Dill Pickle, who fired an impressive 692. Dylan is waiting for his first big breakthrough since moving up to Division I, and a 3-game set like this can really help a player like Dylan to boost his confidence, knowing that if he can do it for 3 games, he can surely do it for 6. A number of others trying to break through to make their first appearance on Prodigy included Aiden Mercer, Bryce Crocker, Preston Nicholson, and Caden Ball, who I felt might be the player best poised to take that next step. And a number of other familiar names to Prodigy Land were hovering, including Landon Stoddard, who was inside the projected cut line after the morning block, as well as Donovan Courtney, who made the last Division I show, Kayla Hedges, Tashawn Clark, and Caden White, who always seems to be close to the lead. And indeed, by the time the scores shot in the afternoon block were posted, Caden had, in fact, made the biggest move up the leaderboard from 12th all the way to 3rd. And Donovan Courtney shot the 2nd highest series of the tournament with a 722 in the afternoon to jettison up the board from 6th to 1st. Andrew Coleman made another nice move from 8th to 4th to secure a spot in the championship round, while Landon Stoddard and Nolan Nash both held steady to remain in the top 5. A player to keep your eyes on in coming months is Aiden Mercer. He's Connor Nolan's stepbrother and hails from Brazil, not far from Rio de Janeiro. Aiden's been close to making the stepladder the last couple of times, and when he finally does break through and make the show, if he gets hot, he could be a handful for most any of our players. And Kayla Hedges, who's obviously riding high after her 300 game last month at the January KCO. She always seems to be in the hunt. So with that recap of the qualifying round out of the way, here's one final look at the seedings for today's stepladder finals. Remember, a player will keep advancing and climbing the ladder as long as he keeps winning. And sure enough, each one of our 5 finalists is from Missouri, just like I told you they might be. So it's time we get match 1 underway with our 5 seed Landon Stoddard of Higginsville, Missouri, facing our number 4 qualifier, Andrew Coleman of the Bowling-Coleman family in Excelsior Springs, Missouri. And when we speak of the Bowling-Coleman family, there's 4 of them. Andrew, at whom you're looking, Grace Coleman in Division 3. She won here at Crown Lanes. She was in Division 4 at the time, last April. Bailey Coleman in Division 4, and Gabriel Coleman in Division 1 has since aged out of youth bowling. All 4 of them have appeared on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Oh boy, what a way to start the match. Andrew Coleman goes through the nose and leaves a wide open split. The 6-7. It can be made, and here's how you do it. Put that ball way over on the right edge of the 6 pin, and you'll try to slide it all the way across the lane to convert the split. It's a beautiful thing when it happens. It just doesn't happen all that often. A very difficult split indeed, and Andrew is open in the first frame. So that will bring on our number 5 seed, Landon Stoddard. Landon, a decidedly lower rev player. He will play a little straighter, more of a down and in shot. Players were not pleased when they learned they were going to be bowling on the end pair for the stepladder finals. You can blame me, that was my call. Well, he finds the pocket, doesn't seem to have any problem at all bowling on the end lane. So Landon off to an 11-pin lead in the first frame. Take another look at that opening toss. 5-step approach. Nice crossover. He's a planter, not a slider. Playing up around 6 at the break point, and down they go. We're bowling on 23 and 24 here at Crown Lanes. Oh my goodness. Looked like he pulled that one big time, but it's set in the oil. There's a buildup of oil in the center of the lane. We're bowling on the house shot, and boy, he got away with one that time. Tripped the 4. Watch the 2-pin, the third one from the left. It'll go to the wall and get both the 7 and the 4. Thank you very much. So Andrew trying to bounce back after that open in the first. Wow. That ball really made a left turn on the back end, and he nearly had a highly unusual split, the 9-10. But the 10 went out late, and now he's got a pretty simple spare, the 9-pin. For a right-hander, you would just move your feet maybe a board or 2 to the left and just throw your strike shot. Easy peasy. Andrew started bowling at the age of 4 and was even in a league at that tender young age. The action to our left on lanes 21 and 22, that's Division 5. And we'll tell you how their stepladder played out when we get to the end of the show today. No. Once again, the left lane gets him. But this time, this spare, not as makeable as the 6-7 that he left in the first frame. The 4-6-10, well, if you shoot it the way Antonio Miranda shot the 4-6 at the Prodigy Tournament of Champions last June, you could make this, but most of the time players will just take the 2 on the right and hope something bounces out to get the 4. Oh! Well, he did get something to bounce out, but it needed a little redirection to find the 4. That was close. You don't get pins to bounce out all that often. If you get one on the deck, that has to be considered close, even though it missed the 4 pin by probably a foot. Still had a chance. All right, Landon up on lane 24. In the pocket, leaves the weak 10. When we talk about the weak 10, we're talking about the leave where the 6 pin lies down in the channel. The solid 10 is where the 6 pin flies up and around the neck of the 10. He'll go cross lane at it. Landon takes the full approach, got his heels right on the very back edge of the approach. Comes right up the back of the ball to throw it straight, just the way we teach it. Landon has a couple of doubles tournaments in his bank, but he's never won a singles title at the KCO. This would be his first if he can pull off the feat that Rhett Ryman did back in January when he ran the stepladder. And he rips the rack. Take another look at it. Watch him saw the 5. The 5 pin, the one in the middle of the rack behind the head pin, will just whistle over into the 7. And he sends pins scattering everywhere. All right, Andrew up on the right lane. Oh my goodness. That's 3 splits in 4 frames, and all of them of the impossible to very difficult variety. This the mirror image of the one he just left in the 3rd frame, the 4-6-7. Again, you just go for the 2 and hope a miracle happens. One bounces out and gets the 6. Oh my! He got another one to bounce out. Back to back. Take another look at it. It surprised him, I think. Yeah, that one actually got a little closer to the 6 than the frame earlier got to the 4. Well, he's got a smile on his face just out of pure amusement, but he can't like 3 opens in 4 frames. He's 45 pins behind. And he goes through the nose again. Another split. Heavens to Murgatroyd. The 4-9. Now this is a little easier. This can be made. Put the ball on the left side of the 4, slide it over into the 9. But again, he gets too much of the pin he's trying to slide, and that's another open frame. 4 open frames out of the first 5 frames, and well, he's going to have to right the ship just to break 100. 53 in the 5th, and he can't like the way this is trending. Goodness gracious. Landon comes in thin, perhaps wanting to avoid Andrew's fate. Leaves the 2. Well, we talk about the importance of spares in bowling. Never is it more evident than in a match like this, where one player is leaving spares that are difficult to convert, while Landon leaves spares like the 2-pin that are generally no problem at all. Landon's high game, 289, and his best 3-game series, 746. And he did once pick up the 7-10 split. He lists it as his best moment in bowling. Well, he let that one get away. Sends it wide, and it doesn't make it back, so he gets to shoot at the washout, the 1-2-10. Put the ball on the left side of the head pin, like, say, the Brooklyn pocket, and drive that 1 pin back into the 10, and you'll be golden. Somewhat easier said than done, but it is makeable. He got a little too much of the head pin. So Landon with an open frame. And now Andrew starts the job of trying to dig himself out of a 42-pin hole. Well, that had a chance. Just a little light in the pocket, and seemed like something ought to get the 7, but nothing did. He moves to the right side of the approach and will go cross lane at the 7-pin. Oh my. Well, now he's just pouring gasoline on the fire. That is now 5 open frames in his first 6 frames. And that's no good. Maybe he needs to call up a relief pitcher from the bullpen. There's enough Colemans to go around. He ought to be able to find one to step in. Through the nose again, broke up a split. But he's just got to be perplexed. That's 5 frames that he's gone right through the nose on his first ball. And I know he's making adjustments. makes the spare. So he stops the bleeding at least. But spares in the second and seventh. The rest open frames. Not a game plan for victory, I would have to say. Although Landon coming off an open of his own. There's a strike. I'd almost forgotten what those look like. Let's take a closer look at Landon's game. He's got that big high backswing that goes all the way vertical. But the thing about Landon is he won't pull it down from the top. He will let it fall. And that's what makes it work for him. He's got the ball actually not just below his head, but a little inside his head. As I've talked about before, that's ideal. Ball right next to his ankle. You see his fingers are below the equator, not by much, but enough that he gets just enough power to knock out some off hits. Although that was not an off hit, that was an on hit. Dead solid perfect. And he collapses the 4-9 on that one. It was crowding the head pin a little bit. Looked like it was going to come in high, but the 4-9 go out late. Over about 14 at the arrows, out to about 8. And down they go. All right, Andrew, let's see a strike. Hey, how about that one? Well, maybe a little late for him, but it's got to be somewhat gratifying that at least he finally got one to go. This is about as perfect a strike as you can throw. And he's missing a pin, so he will re-rack and wait for all 10 pins to show up. Andrew, if he strikes out, can shoot 172. Landon is sitting at 145 if he doesn't throw another ball.
Jonas, 9th, 10th frame roll off.
Oh man, another high hit. Almost had the 4-9. That 9 pin thought about standing back up. It was starting to fall forward, and then it looked like it was just trying to decide whether to go down. All right. A spare and, well, a 63-pin deficit for Andrew. It's going to be a short one and done for him, it looks like. Unless Landon is abducted by extraterrestrials in the next 5 minutes. Never know. I've seen some crazy things happen in this sport. Never that. But Landon's got a strike of his own right there, and that's going to put the match away, as if it wasn't already put away.
What lane are you starting on?
Possible 235 for Landon if he takes it off the sheet. I believe he has changed balls this match. In the first frame, he had a pretty good hook on his ball, but it's going a little straighter now. I think he went to his purple hammer. It's kind of hard to see. We've got the iris of the camera all the way open, and we're doing some video magic in the edit to make the bowling center look like it's fully lit up. But let me tell you, it's dark in this bowling center. Here's how to make the washout, the 1-2-4-10. Hit the left side of the head pin and drive it into the 10. The ball will get the 2 and the 4. Let's see one. That's the way it's done right there. Nice shot by Landon. He didn't need it. He already had the match in hand. But we'll take another look at this one. Plays it over the second arrow, lets the ball hook to the left side of the head pin, and that's ideal right there. A strike here, he will shoot 211. And he tries another ball, and that's a smart play. When you've got the match won, use your fill ball in the 10th. Try another ball, try another line. Just see if you've got some options going into the next match. Andrew will just go through the motions of finishing out the game. Oh, he throws a backup shot. Why not? Just monkeying around with that one. Here's a spare we don't see all that often among these Division I players. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. He'll throw his usual strike ball at this. And it goes high like so many of them did this game. But he does convert it. But that will reduce his possible high score to 135. And I'll bet Andrew Coleman might bowl 1 or 2 more games all year in the 130s. You just don't see that all that often from these Division I players. And he gives that last ball a little extra oomph. Maybe taking out some frustration on the pins, but also to get it to hold the line. But it's Landon Stoddard, who's 209, takes match 1. And now Landon would love to build a little winning streak. But he'll have a tiger by the tail next in Caden White. You know how sometimes in team sports, after a team gets blown out, the head coach might decide to just throw away the film of the game and not even subject his team to the indignity of watching it. I imagine Andrew Coleman may feel a bit like that after the match we just saw. After 4 splits and 5 opens, it just seemed like every adjustment he made resulted in the same thing, a split, and nothing quite worked the way he'd intended. But Andrew Coleman is a much better player than he showed you in this match, and I'm sure he'll be back. But his opponent is like the tide. Landon Stoddard just keeps coming in. He's one of the most consistent bowlers in the KCO and has made the show several times. His win percentage has been so-so thus far, so maybe with that opening win today, it'll loosen him up a bit. His job sure doesn't get any easier, as the players lying ahead always seem to be among the contenders, and these next 2 players seated above Landon won the Division I title the last 2 times we came to Crown Lanes. And now in match 2, Landon will face the defending champion, Caden White, who won this event in Leavenworth 1 year ago in February 2023. But both of these players have proven they're not afraid to put up some big numbers, so we might be in for an explosive match. Caden, being the higher qualifier, had the choice of starting lanes, and he has opted to let Landon start the match. That means that Caden will get to finish first and put the pressure on Landon. 2 16-year-olds going at it. And Landon plows through the pocket. Solid start to his match. Pretty easy to see why he is so consistent. You can say what you will about the height of his backswing. It is dead on plane. And there's a messenger for Caden as he gets his match started with a strike. We'll take a second look at that. Watch the head pin, the one in front. He will send it to the left wall, and then it comes flying across the pin deck to get the 10. And we're all even after the opening frame in this match, as Caden moves to the left lane. Nolan Nash is the one who got Caden started bowling. They're good buddies. Oh, solid 10. An apparently good shot. Let's see if we can take another look at it. See what happens on the ringing 10. The 6 pin, the second one from the right, will wrap around the 10, but look where the ball finishes. The ball finishes behind the 9 pin. On a really good strike, it won't deflect to the right that much. Caden, a good spare shooter. You won't see him give them away very often. And Andrew still has a couple of bowling balls to clear off the rack. Don't want to leave those here at the bowling center when you head home. Those bowling balls are expensive, man. And don't these parents know it? All right, Landon up on the right lane, working on a strike. Boom. Landon with a double to move out ahead by 10. Very simple, repeatable swing. Landon's always in balance at the foul line, and he gets the pins to fall from the heavens to take out the strike. So a 10-pin lead early. Landon tells us that Darren Tang is his favorite pro bowler. And one day, Landon would like to be out there on tour with those guys. Throw enough shots like that, you might just get there. Perfect through 3. The reason he gets away with that high backswing is he lets gravity initiate the downswing. He doesn't pull it down from the top. That's what I usually see with those big high backswings. Boom. Caden White. Solid strike on lane 24. Swings it out to about 6. And those pins had no chance on that shot. Now if he can just replicate that pin action on lane 23. Oh, just a pinch high. Lucky to break up the 4-9. Leaves just the 9 pin. Caden throws a plastic ball at his spares most of the time, and he's very accurate with it. So a strike spare start for Caden, while Landon is perfect through the first 3 frames. Carefully setting his feet. Landon is somewhat deliberate, I think you could say. Man, how did that 7-pin resist falling? I think we'll be able to see right here. Watch the 2-pin. The third one from the left. It's going to drive to the left wall and turn around right in front of the 7 without getting it. A classic stone 7. This shouldn't be a problem for a player of Landon's caliber. And as expected, he makes short work of it. When asked how he got started bowling, Landon just said it was a friend that got him into it. A lot of times it's the parents. Sometimes they've just got a friend who bowls and let them tag along one day, and they got out on the lanes and said, hey, I kind of like this. Oh, man. That one got way wide and just didn't really have the rev rate to climb back and drive out the 5. The wall shot took out the 4-pin, but that didn't help. It leaves the 5-7 split. Simplest way to shoot this is just use your strike ball and move 3 boards to the left. Throw it over your strike target. See what he can do with it. Pretty good try. But that's an open frame. So he goes from a 17-pin lead to a 6-pin lead. And now Caden up on his good lane, lane 24. He struck each time on the right lane.
And another one. Slapping out the 10 this time. Watch this one. This is solid in the hole. The 6-pin will go to the right wall and tomahawk the 10. Just like that. Now if he can strike on the left lane, he'll really be in business, and he can take the lead right here.
There you go. So now he's got both lanes figured out. Once again, a solid strike. And now Landon finds himself in an unfamiliar position, chasing from behind. But if he can strike in the 6th and 7th, he can move back out ahead. There's one. And that was a good one. How good, you ask? That ball right by his ankle as it comes through the release area. And once again, just solid in the pocket. This is as good as I've seen Landon bowl. He's been on the show a number of times, but I can only recall him winning 2 games. He's usually one and done on Prodigy, which is unfortunate because he's got enough talent that he's usually close to making the stepladder almost every month, if not in the stepladder. He just always seems to draw an opponent who's red hot. But you get the sense that if he could have some success, look out. You might unleash a monster. Well, there's your 2 strikes to take the lead back. He wasted no time in doing that. Now the onus is back on Caden White. He'll need to keep his string going to regain the lead. Here's that last one that Landon threw. Over about 13 at the arrows. Only got it out to about 9. That urethane ball that he's throwing is not going to overreact. Oh, nearly. Doesn't get the break on the 4, so Caden will go for the spare. Try to keep this a 7-pin match. Covers it with no muss, no fuss. This young fellow you see on the pair to our left, Noah Frex, bowling in Division 5. There's stepladder going on there. At the end of our championship match, after we talk to the winner, we'll recap the Division 5 stepladder finals for you. Crunch. Caden never seems to be far from the lead, and he never seems to be far from the pocket. Can't do it any better than that. That's 10 in the pit. Landon working on a double. Can extend his lead to 17 with a strike here in the 8th. Oh, man, what a break. As it was heading down the lane, I was thinking, yeah, it's crowding the head pin. It's going to be a little high. I don't know about this one. But I tell you what, we have seen some 4-9s get broken down in this house. This is almost a 4-9. The 4 goes out, and the 9 says, no, I'm sticking around until... That had to be the 2-pin that got it. And now Landon in a position to take control of this match with another strike in the 9th. He can go out ahead by 27. But something disturbs him, and he does the smart thing. Puts his ball down, steps away, will go through his routine again. Not sure what it was that disturbed him, but he did the smart thing. Now let's see if he can take advantage of it. He didn't quite get around that one. Landon will usually give it a nice little turn at the bottom. That one, it looked like he came straight up the back of it. The 2-5. As I've said many times on Prodigy, usually you watch the pros shoot the 2-5 or 2-4-5. They'll play it straight down the left side of the lane. Oh my. He completely whiffed it. Well, I sure didn't see that coming. That had to have been a result of his right shoulder passing his left before the ball came off his hand. And that's what I see so often in players with the high backswing. They get to the top and they pull it down, and when they pull it down, usually that right shoulder will outrace the left. All right, trying to get another one of those 9 pins to go late. Not this time. Remember, they only oil the lanes once in the morning before the A squad bowls its morning block, and then we don't see another run of the lanes. So as the day wears on, players need to migrate to the left, if they're right-handed, of course, to stay just inside the oil line as the oil transitions on the lane. Each roll of the ball picks up some of the oil off the lane, which creates a little track in the lane, and you got to move your feet and move your eyes at your target to the left so that the ball stays inside the oil. And again, Caden lets it drift high. And he really needed a couple of strikes in the 10th to put some real pressure on Landon. But as it is, if Caden can mark, Landon will need a mark. And you won't see Caden miss a 4-pin very often. But the best he can do is 208. That would force Landon to fill 19 in the 10th. Well, he gets 9 on the fill, so that'll be a 207, which means Landon needs to fill 18 in the 10th. A spare and 8, or a strike and 8 will get the job done. But he must mark. And right after he whiffed a spare in the 9th is not when you want to be thinking about needing a mark. Well, that 9-pin is just nailed down, ain't it? Easy spare, though. A little less easy when you absolutely gotta have it to keep from losing. But despite what you saw in the 8th frame, I'd say Landon is a good spare shooter. And the 9-pin is only a board or two to the right of where you'd shoot for the pocket. So just move a little left, throw it over your strike target. This should be no problem. Oh my! Once again, something disturbs him. I don't think it was the player on lane 22. And if it was, well, the player on lane 22 wasn't doing anything wrong. We don't give a pair courtesy at the KCO. It's just one lane courtesy like you would extend in a league. But okay, Landon for the spare. Gotta have it. And he gets it. as I figured he would. But now here's the ball that means the match. 8, 9, or 10 is a winner. 7's a tie. 6 is a loser. The best way to get 8 or more is just put it in the pocket. He's been living in the pocket most of the day so far. Oh, he was crowding the head pin a little bit. That could have been a split, maybe a short count, but no, he gets 9, and that is a winner right there. Landon Stoddard takes match 2 against Caden White, so he will face Nolan Nash in match 3 when we return after this. Well, like I've said before, I never root for or against anyone in particular, unless they're going for a 300 or something like that, in which case I'm always rooting for them. But one thing I always do root for is a close finish, and Caden and Landon certainly gave us a close one there. There's not much Caden could have done to turn the match the other way. He threw quality shots all match long, while Landon was compiling a couple of turkeys throughout the match, one early and another from the 6th to 8th frames. But then, just when Landon whiffed a fairly routine spare, giving Caden a chance to get back in the match, Caden couldn't strike. Nothing but 9 spares the rest of the way, and Landon didn't need another strike to close out the match. So Landon Stoddard wins his second game and climbs into match 3 to face our 2 seed, Nolan Nash. Nolan has already bowled in the championship match 3 times this season on Prodigy, winning 1. He'd love to get there again today and lift his winning percentage to 500. But he'll have to get past the red-hot redhead from Higginsville if he wants a chance at our tournament leader, Donovan Courtney. And Landon Stoddard is looking for his first KCO singles title. He'll have to win 2 more matches to claim it. Landon qualified 3rd last month in Lawrence, finished 4th, and back in September he qualified 4th and finished 4th. And at the rate he's going, well, he's liable to be there at the end. Here's his opening toss once again, here in match 3. Over about 13 at the arrows, out to about 11. Not really swinging it that wide, playing pretty straight. Now, Nolan Nash. Look how far up he's standing. Tiny first step. Right in the hole. Now, how about this season that Nolan Nash has had? He qualified 1st last month, finished 2nd. That was when Rhett Ryman ran the step ladder. Then in October, Nolan set the scoring record on Prodigy for 3 and 4 games, qualified 4th, finished 1st. And in September, he qualified 3rd and finished 2nd. All 3 times this season that Nolan has been in the championship match, his opponent has been Rhett Ryman. Rhett has won twice, Nolan once, and each of them won one of their titles this season by doing what Landon Stoddard is trying to do today, win all 4 matches of the stepladder. Wow. Playing inside the 4th arrow, and it still cuts through the pocket and takes the 5 right off the 9. That's some serious power from deep inside. Simple spare. And Nolan can also come right up the back of the ball to throw it pretty straight at his spares. On that day in September at Olathe Lanes East, when Nolan Nash qualified 3rd and finished 2nd, one of the players he bowled that day was Landon Stoddard. He beat him 269 to 255. That 255 by Landon set a Prodigy record for highest losing score, a record that has since been eclipsed by Nolan Nash when he lost to Rhett Ryman 268 to 276 back in January. Landon gets off to a fast start with a double to take an early lead. Tell you what, I think he made a very wise choice in switching to his urethane ball very early. He saw the difficulty that Andrew Coleman was having with that aggressive, reactive resin ball, and he said, I want none of that. And he's been right around the pocket most of the day. Another one here would really put the heat on Nolan early. Boom. So 3 frames, 3 strikes for Landon Stoddard. And they've honestly looked pretty much the same, each one of them. Out to about 14 at the arrow, swings it out to around 9. Down they go. That's the Nolan Nash we've come to expect to see. He's 17 years old, turns 18 on August 1st, the day that the new bowling season starts. And because his birthday is on August 1st instead of July 31st, well, he can bowl one more year of youth bowling next season if he wants to. I imagine wherever he is, he'll be bowling. Oh! That ball went over about 23 or 4 at the arrows and just sent the 2-pin right in front of the 7, but it came off the wall and never even touched the 7-pin. So he'll have to be satisfied with a spare here in the 4th. He hooks at it and covers it. Well, Nolan having the same trouble that Caden White had in the previous match. He's got one lane pretty much down, but having difficulty unlocking the mystery of the other lane. Landon going for a 4-bagger. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. As I mentioned earlier, this is as good as I have seen Landon bowl. He's in dead stroke. Straight back, straight through. That's what you're looking for. If you've got a straight arm swing, you can be very accurate in this sport. And as much as we make about power nowadays and revs, the sport of bowling is still mostly about direction. There's a lot of other factors that go into it, but if you can be accurate, you've got most of this game beat. Well, he pulled that one. His swing plane deviated somewhat between the backswing and the through swing. Usually Landon will take it back on an outside to inside swing plane so that it matches up with his launch angle. And then the downswing is on the same plane, coming from the inside to the outside. But that time when he got to the top of the swing bounced out and came from the outside to the inside, and that caused the pull. It's kind of like a golfer who fights an over-the-top downswing. Covers the 4, no problem. Well, I think Nolan knows he's got to string a few strikes if he wants to get back in it. Landon doesn't look like he's inclined to make any big mistakes here. Oh, goodness gracious. It's almost inconceivable that you could play a line that deep inside, playing left of the fourth arrow, and still have the power to cut through the rack and leave a 4-9. Here's how you make it. Put the ball over on the left edge of the 4-pin, slide it over into the 9. He's made the 4-10 on Prodigy before. And now he makes the 4-9. Nicely done. Interestingly, he did the same thing there that he did when he made the 4-10. Watch where the ball is on the lane at about the 50-foot mark. When it's about halfway between the tracers and the pins, it's still at about the 17th board. It's got to get all the way over to about 37. Wow. Interesting way to go at it. And that 7-pin almost stayed up, but he managed to get them all to go that time. Watch it again. I think we'll see the 2-pin take it out. Watch the 2, the third one from the left. This is the pin that usually misses the 7 when you leave it, and it just barely touched the 7 and knocked it over. I tell you what, these twister pins don't need much impetus to fall. That's one thing I've noticed, both on the Division II show and today, is these pins seem like they're lighter than air. You hit them in the half pocket like that, you are almost certain to carry, but you hit high flush and you're liable to leave something. Watch this shot. This isn't what I would call high flush. It's in the half pocket, but down they go. You hit high flush, and you're liable to chop the 5 off the 9 and leave a stone 9, or we've seen 1 or 2 stone 7s today. Lots of 4-9s have gotten broken down here. And a light shaker. Oh, you're almost certain to strike on a hit like that with lighter pins or pins that are very lively like these seem to be. This will be the head pin that does the damage. Ball will be very light in the pocket. The head pin takes out the 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8. One pin takes out 5 other pins. Well, you're not going to get many strikes high on the nose like that. Nolan knows that. That one cuts through and he leaves the 3-6. Trailing by 41. He's got to be careful with these spares. He cannot afford an open. He covers the 3-6. The best Nolan can do is 228. Landon going at a 239 pace. So Nolan's got to go off the sheet and hope that Landon hits a bump in the road. That's not what he had in mind. I think he missed his target that time. That ball went over the 5th arrow. And I'll tell you what, Nolan has weaker equipment that he could be throwing. Now that was his spare ball, but he's throwing this Ruby IQ, I think that's what it is. That ball will definitely hook. I think the same time he got that Ruby IQ, he bought one of those new blue hammers, the NU, not urethane hammers that a lot of talk about here in the last few weeks. That ball might be perfect for these lanes. With all of Nolan's power, that would allow him to ball down some. Oh boy, well, that could have been a mistake that let Nolan back in this, but it looked like Landon was going to leave the 4, 5, 7. Somehow the 5 and 7 went out, and it just looks like a routine 4-pin now. Landon waiting for, I believe that's Caleb Richardson on lane 22. That's Division 5 to our left. We'll summarize their stepladder at the end of the show. Landon covers the 4. So with just 2 frames left, he's got a 42-pin cushion. And one would think he could probably walk it in from here. Certainly, if he can stay clean the rest of the way, it'll be no problem. He takes his time. And if you get a result like that, well, you can take all the time you want. Watch it again. Looked like he swung that out to the right just a little bit more than on some of his other shots. About 12 at the arrows, out to about 7 at the break point. All right, Nolan, got to strike out. Ah, wow. That's what I'm saying. It just looks like the pins are not putting up enough resistance to Nolan's ball, and that failure to strike right there just handed the match to Landon. So much for any last-minute heroics here to bail this one out. Well, it didn't matter at that point. Nolan can't believe he missed an 8-pin, but the match was already lost. So this has got to be gratifying for Landon Stoddard, knowing that he slayed the dragon at the bowling center with the dragon in the front yard. Well, of course, when the match is out of reach, the strikes start coming. Nolan says to himself, where was that earlier? Well, he moved farther left, sent it farther right, and threw it a little harder, I think. Well, he didn't throw that one as wide, but he'll be in the 190s. That time it was just about over the 5th arrow, goes out to about 12, and it didn't overreact. Keeping it inside the oil line. Well, he can take some solace knowing that he struck out in the 10th. But a decisive victory by Landon Stoddard, who has now won the first 3 matches in our stepladder finals today. Here's Nolan's final strike. Landon can finish with a 258 if he duplicates in the 10th what Nolan did. But this might be a good time to try another line or possibly another ball, just if he wants to see what options he would have if he gets in any trouble. But he doesn't look to me like he's going to be getting in any trouble. He's just playing that little urethane shot that doesn't move too much. I don't think you're going to get in too much trouble doing that. If he keeps throwing it like that, he's going to be a very tough out. He's already got 8 strikes this game. Well, that'll be all he gets this match, as he leaves what I always call the solid 5. No drive, no 5, as they say. But he's in the 240s, and there's nothing to complain about when you're throwing 240s. .247. So it's our 5 seed, Landon Stoddard, who has won the first 3 matches of the stepladder. He's the one that's going to face Donovan Courtney in the championship match for all the marbles. I don't think I've ever seen a match before where it appeared that a player's ball just completely overpowered the pins, and not in a good way. There were shots in the match we just witnessed where Nolan's ball just tore through the pins and made them fly right over the other pins in the back. He might have benefited from balling down. I know he recently added one of those new blue hammers to his arsenal, and it might have been a better choice than the aggressive ball he was throwing. Either way, those twister pins just seemed like they were lighter than air and put up very little resistance. He might want to consider that when we come back to Crown Lanes in April. But Landon bowled like a young man possessed. 8 strikes and no less than a 9 count on any of his strike balls. No wonder he bowled a clean game. And now Landon takes his winning streak into the championship match, where he'll face our tournament leader, Donovan Courtney. Neither one of these players has won yet on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, so this will make our 5th different winner this season in Division 1, assuring us of a quorum for the Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions in the Scratch Division this June, the Sunday after Father's Day. One of these 2 players can punch his ticket into the field there and will sign the coveted trophy pin in about 20 minutes. Donovan Courtney, with the option, has elected to lead off. I think he wants to go last so he'll know what he needs. Boom. That was a solid strike to start. Watch it again. This youngster, 18 years old, so this is his last year of eligibility as a youth bowler. Over about 18 at the arrows, swings it out to about 12. And that was a freight train going through the pins. Now Landon. Well, I think this might be the first match of the day where Landon didn't have the upper hand at the very beginning. But he leaves a simple spare, the 4-pin. And you can bet that he will take his time and make sure he's ready to pull the trigger when he shoots at his spares. And covers it. Landon bowls with his dad in the adult youth doubles tournament. We saw them make the show last year in 2022 in December. His dad's a pretty good bowler. A lot of these kids actually learn to bowl from their parent, one or the other. I know Nolan Nash was taught by his mom. Landon was taught by his dad. Didn't quite have enough juice on that one to send the 5 over into the 7, so he'll get to shoot the 7 pin. Donovan Courtney, also introduced to bowling by one of his parents. He didn't specify which one, but that's good. Parents passing the sport down to their kids. I love it. And another spare. Donovan says his best moment in bowling is when he shot his 300. Yeah, that'll be a highlight if you ever do that. He started bowling at the age of 6, was in his first league by the time he was 7. That time it overreacts just a little bit. If there's one tendency Donovan Courtney has that he might want to work on, is he has a tendency to grab the ball at the bottom and just really try to rip the finger holes out of it coming through. He's got plenty of power. He doesn't need that. Covers the 610. He likes E.J. Tackett, his favorite pro bowler. And that is a guy who actually does rip the fingers out of the ball. But he does it smoothly. Another powerful strike for Donovan. We'll get another look at that strike. Stands at about the 12-foot row of dots. Nice slide. That time over the 4th arrow, swings it out to about 12. Nothing for the pins to do but just fall down. All right, Landon up on the right, looking for his first strike of the match. And look at that one. He sawed the 5 that time. And we will definitely watch that one again. This ball will hit the half pocket, and it was coming hard. Watch how the 5 pin just wastes no time at all in getting over to the 7 and rips the rack. Tight match, just 1 pin separating the two of them. That one didn't have the entry angle. He didn't send that one out to the right. It was on a pretty straight trajectory. And because it didn't have a lot of fingers on it, a lot of oomph to climb the hill going through the pins, it deflected slightly and leaves him the weak 10. But again, he's been real good with his spares today. save for that one big mistake. Didn't cost him, though. Uh-oh. Well, I think we may get a better look at what happened this time. This is why I don't like the high backswing. When it gets real high, the tendency is to pull it down, and look what happens. Can you tell from this angle? His right shoulder has outraced his left. And when the right shoulder is in front of the left shoulder before the ball is off your hand, you're going to pull it every single time. Donovan kind of overthrew that one. It's like a golfer on the green hitting a putt that's supposed to break right to left, but he hits it too hard, and it doesn't break enough until after it's past the hole. He just threw it through the break. The 2-4-8, put the ball right on the face of the 2-pin, and you'll make it. Just like that. Well done. So Donovan Courtney with a 13-pin lead, thanks to that mistake that Landon made. Watch this again. Nice and easy. Just let that ball work its way back to the 2-pin. 2 gets the 8. The ball gets the 4. Wow, that was a good shot. He didn't overthrow that one. Didn't try to muscle it. Didn't try to rip the holes out of the ball with his fingers. And had plenty of power. Ball finished behind the 8-pin. So there was no deflection there. All right, Landon needs to get back up on the horse. All right, that's one way to do it. That was almost a stone 5. Watch this. It's actually a wall shot. I think it's going to be the head pin that goes to the left wall. Comes back and gets the 5. Whatever it takes. And boy, would he love to put another one right behind it. That would cut Donovan's lead down to just 3 pins as we head into the second half of the match. Oh, mercy. Well, he sent that one out into the weeds. Almost had the 1-2-4, but one by one, they tried to all go down, but the 1 pin remains. You don't often see this single pin spare, but good news for Landon is it's probably the easiest spare there is to shoot. Just the 1. And he gets it. But he doesn't cut into Donovan's lead. And Donovan has a strike up. And he could put some distance between himself and Landon here if he could throw a couple of strikes in the 6th and 7th. This one here in the 6th to take a 23-pin lead. Well, he gave that one a little extra juice at the bottom and a little extra loft. And what the loft will do sometimes is it'll make the ball skid down the lane a little farther than maybe you'd like. And I think that's what happened that time. The ball didn't recover in time, so he leaves the 10. But makes it. So the lead remains at 13. Both players with spares up. Donovan has really been coming on here this season. Back in September, he started the year in Division II, qualified in first place and finished first. He was 9th in November. And then last month he qualified 5th and finished 5th. And now he's 4 frames away from getting a Division I crown at Crown Lanes. Well, he's really hitting it at the bottom. Out to about 10. Good shot. And a better shot there, boy. Landon loved that. That was really a half pocket hit. But the 6 pin will tomahawk the 10. When you're doing that, you know you're lined up just right. But now what he needs to do is put another strike up in the 8th. Get that double and cut Donovan's lead to 3. And he couldn't have measured it any better. Tell you what, this kid has impressed me today. Not only has he thrown a lot of good shots, really good shots, but he's been very resilient whenever he has run into a bump in the road. That's as good a shot as he's thrown all day. Oh, Donovan rips the rack and extends his lead back to 13. Take another look at this, boy. He really went after this one at the release. Look at that. Half pocket, 5 right over into the 7. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, you could tell he didn't like that one. As soon as it left his hand, he knew he'd pulled it. So he loses a couple of pins in count working on that double. So the lead now just 11. And Landon with a bit of an advantage because he has a double working. Donovan covers the spare. But now here's the situation. The best Donovan Courtney can do is 218. Landon can shoot 227. So Landon has the hammer in his hand, and I'm not talking about the purple hammer that he's holding, but if he throws a strike in the 9th, 10th, and 11th, he will shut out Donovan Courtney. And I guarantee you that's exactly what he's thinking. Oh, man, what a break. He shakes his head. He knows he got away with one there. That was way high. But he trips the 4 and 7. That could have been a 4-7-10. It's like we talked about with Nolan Nash in the last match. These twister pins just don't seem to offer much resistance. But now if he strikes on this next ball, he will take the lead in the match. He hasn't led yet in this match. But the 10th frame is the time to have the lead. Oh, man. Boy, that was a good shot. But the 6 wraps around the 10 And so he could lose the match now. It's going to come down to how Donovan Courtney can perform in the 10th frame. And with Donovan working on a spare, count is important. So Landon needs to make this 10-pin and get all he can on the fill ball. Every pin could be critical. Okay. So with a strike on his fill ball, he'll shoot 206. If Donovan goes strike spare in the 10th, he'll shoot 208. That's how close it is. He's really going to work on this one. Every pin matters. Well, he kind of helped it a little bit, but he got the break on the 4-pin. That's a 206. So Donovan needs to fill 19. 9 spare strike would do it. A strike and 9 out would do it. But anything less than 9 could be trouble. Anything less than 8's a loser. Oh, man. Not 6. Landon Stoddard wins the championship. Watch this. This is Donovan going at the ball with all his might. Look at that. He really did try to rip the finger holes out of it. And it overhooked. Well, I don't know what to say. It's a good conversion of the spare, but a lot of good that'll do him. Landon Stoddard runs the stepladder and wins the February KCO Division I title for his first singles championship ever at the KCO. How about that? So it's a 206 to 203 win for Landon Stoddard, and heartbreak for Donovan Courtney, who could have won it at the end, but got a little grabby on that first ball on the 10th, and it cost him. So Landon Stoddard will sign the coveted trophy pin, and you'll meet him next. A heartbreaking ending to the championship for one player and a crowning achievement for the other. Donovan Courtney and Landon Stoddard both found it challenging to string strikes in the championship match, and Landon actually suffered the only open frame between the two of them. But when all the chips had been pushed to the center of the table and the match was there for the taking, Donovan made his worst shot of the match, sealing the win for Landon. But Landon threw the one turkey of the match from the 7th to 9th frames, putting him in the lead and putting all the pressure on Donovan at the end. So, for the first time, Landon Stoddard wins a singles title at the KCO and gets to sign the coveted trophy pin. Catch a big, deep breath.
I'm trying.
It's Landon Stoddard, who finally wins on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. You went through the whole stepladder to do it. You don't do anything an easy way, do you?
No, sir.
How do you feel?
I feel great. This is my first solo tournament win, and I'm glad that I could execute that today.
Well, you bowled great.
Thank you.
How did you do it?
I try to stay mentally focused, not let the bad breaks or bad shots that I had get to my head.
Well, now is this your first KCO win?
This is my first KCO win, yes.
But you say you won a doubles event.
Yeah, I won 2, I believe, with my sister.
Oh, okay. So they weren't the HOA either. They were something else altogether.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has been telling me ever since the first time I saw you, is that this is one of the nicest kids you're ever gonna meet. And I've never really gotten a chance to visit with you. So, what makes you such a nice guy?
My parents raised me to have manners and to be respectful to everybody that I meet.
Well, and you've certainly displayed that every time I've seen you.
Thank you, sir.
And I got to tell you, I know this is a popular win among the KCO kids because everybody thinks the world of you. And you bowled your heart out today. What more could you ask for? There is this little formality. Everybody who wins on Prodigy gets to sign the coveted trophy pin. So reach in there, put your name on it, and date it. It's 2/4/2024. And by winning, that also puts you in the field of the season-ending Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions, which will be held at Olathe Lanes East the Sunday after Father's Day. The winner of that wins the pin. And we'll expect to see you there now that you've punched your ticket. Landon Stoddard, our latest champion on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
As I mentioned during the show, the group to our left on lanes 21 and 22 were the kids battling in Division 5. Here's how their stepladder played out. The player who qualified in the 5th spot was Walter Davis Jr. of Kansas City, Missouri. But he didn't stick around for the championship round. So his 5th spot in the stepladder went to the alternate who finished qualifying in 6th, Willow Burns of Easton, Kansas. Willow faced the 4 seed, Dylan Johnson, who took that opening match 193 to 134. But in match 2, Dylan's day came to an end when he fell to the 3 seed, Noah Frex, 201 to 153. In match 3, Noah won again, this time defeating the number 2 qualifier, Donovan Courtney's brother, Zane Courtney, 202 to 195. And in the championship match, the tournament leader, Caleb Richardson, turned back Noah Frex, 228 to 197. So congratulations to the winner of the Division 5 title this month, Caleb Richardson of Kansas City, Missouri. On the last edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, we showed you how Brody Hurla captured the Division 2 title, and we recapped the stepladder finals in Division 3, where Grace Coleman won her 2nd tournament in a row at Crown Lanes, and in Division 4, how Gage Patrick stopped Kaylin Melvin's march to the championship. So congratulations to all 5 winners at the 2024 KCO February Point Tournament. Caleb Richardson, Gage Patrick, Grace Coleman, Brody Hurla, and Landon Stoddard. If you'd like to learn more about the Kansas City Open or enter an upcoming event, visit their website at www.kansascityopen.com. Everything you need to enter is right there. If you like the video, leave a thumbs up and drop a comment down below. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we upload new content. And be sure to share this video on your social media feeds. If you'd like to support the work that goes into the production of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and it takes about 40 hours to produce each episode, become a Prodigy patron. For just $5 a month, you'll get early access to each of our full-length episodes of Prodigy. And for $10 a month, you'll not only get early access, but you'll also see your name in the closing credits as an executive producer, just like the Hollywood bigwigs do at the end of major motion pictures. Go to www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and follow the prompts to become a patron. I'll be forever grateful for your support. You know, there's a Prodigy Facebook group, where you can keep up with all things Prodigy and network with your fellow Prodigy heads all across Prodigy land. From any page on Facebook, type the words Prodigy Bowlers Tour into the search bar and hit enter. That'll take you to a page where you can submit a request to join the group. But remember, you must answer the 3 screening questions so we'll know it's a real human being who's submitting the request. We don't want to approve any trolls or spam bots. That's a wrap for the February KCO. Our next stop on Prodigy Bowlers Tour will be Olathe Lanes East in Olathe, Kansas, for the first of 2 tournaments held in March, which means we'll be releasing 4 new episodes of Prodigy during March. I don't know how, but some way I'll find a way to get it done. So expect a Prodigy-a-palooza in the coming month. So until our next episode of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, this is Coach Randy wishing you the best and reminding you to stay behind the foul line and hoping you keep kicking out the corner pins, not the foul lights. We'll talk to you next time from the 2024 KCO March Point Tournament at Olathe Lanes East. Now, go get your bowl on.